No people built the pyramids.
No people?
No.
Who built them?
No people built the pyramids. And if you look around the world, you see certain telltale things that let you know that advanced machinery was in usage. This whole thing where slaves are stronger people is a fallacy. We like to believe that slaves are stronger. Slaves are weaker because they don't eat the right food and they live a terrible life. We've been led to believe that this is how much they worshiped their dead bodies. But the evidence doesn't show any of that. Like when you see inside, when they have those intricate carvings and paintings and stuff in gold and stuff, you have to remember this is in a windowless room, folks. There's no candle soot. There's no, it's clearly a power plant and built specifically for that location on this planet.
My guy, Katt Williams, Money Mike. Who would have thought back in 2002 that old Katt was going to be the prophet the world needed, speaking out on the Illuminati and speaking out on stuff like the pyramids. Fate loves irony. It's kind of funny to me. But Katt Williams, I think he's probably right. I think he's onto something with a lot of what he talks about, especially with the pyramids. There's no way they're on every continent in the entire world, a lot of which with Egyptian hieroglyphics, and that there's not something more to them than just a burial site. That's not logical to me. No, especially when most of them we've proven have bodies of water running underneath them and have proven that there's energy emitting out of the top of them. All this can be tested, and it has been, and they are definitely emitting some type of power, some type of energy. Why? That's just a coincidence though, right? Okay.
You pee on me.
Fox News alert, the Justice Department just released the bombshell report that we've been waiting for. What actually happened on January 6th? The FBI had 26 confidential human sources there that day. 26. A confidential human source is a guy the FBI pays to spy for them. Of the 26 confidential human sources who were in D.C. on Jan 6th, 4 entered the Capitol during the riot. An additional 13 entered the restricted area around the Capitol. So more than a dozen FBI spies participated in the so-called insurrection. A bunch of them broke into the Capitol. Their own inspector general says this is what happened. But that's not what they told you when they testified under oath.
Those who were there in an undercover capacity on January 6th, how many were there?
Again, I'm not sure that I can give you that number as I sit here. I'm not sure there were undercover agents on scene.
I thought I heard you say you didn't know whether there were FBI agents or informants or human sources in the Capitol or in the vicinity on January 6th. Did I misunderstand you? I thought that's what you said.
Well, I referred very specifically to undercover agents.
Yeah. And so are you acknowledging then there were undercover agents?
As I sit here right now, I do not believe there were undercover agents on scene.
The inspector was hiding something, so Congress asked the question a different way. Listen.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people no? We did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol.
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Ray,
confidential human
gentleman's time.
All right, leaving politics out of this, I'm not interested in right side, left side crap, to be honest with you. At the end of the day, they all serve the same purpose. They are all one and the same, right? So let's leave the politics out of it and just think about facts and facts alone. You know that Nancy Pelosi was in charge of the Capitol Police that day. You know that she told most of the Capitol Police to step down and not to show up to work that day. And now this comes out, and more is going to come to follow, that there were people there literally antagonizing the situation and trying to get a stir out of the crowds. They make money off of this. They create division out of this. They create they paint their narrative out of this. They use these types of things to spin in the media so that way they can continue to manipulate the situation. And they do it on both sides. Both sides do this. So if you think you're a Democrat and you're anti-Republican, or you think you're a Republican and you're anti-Democrat, it's all crazy to me, because at the end of the day, they literally go golfing and laugh at us because we think we have choice. Was the situation manipulated? Yeah, probably so. Were the Capitol Police told not to show up to work? That's a fact. Where they're undercover agents, they're trying to create a rise, trying to get a rise and create divide out of the situation? Yeah, most likely. I mean, it's probably all going to come out, and it's, at the end of the day, I'm tired of the manipulation, and I'm tired of them controlling the narrative and painting the narrative. It's time we start thinking for ourselves, guys. Come on, wake up.
Have you ever heard of the Hollow Earth theory? What if I told you that there has been written evidence by this man's lost journal? Meet Admiral Robert Byrd, one of the most infamous military officers in U.S. history. In 1946, the U.S. sent Admiral Robert Byrd to Antarctica with 13 ships, 33 aircrafts, and 4,200 men. This was known as Operation High Jump. The operation was meant to train in polar conditions and gather data on the icy terrain. But people have questioned why such a massive military force was really sent down to the South Pole. And here's where things get strange. It was theorized that this training exercise was just a cover story for something much more darker. According to skeptics, Admiral Byrd was sent in to uncover Nazi bases and claim U.S. sovereignty in parts of Antarctica, but he uncovered something much more terrifying. Robert Byrd came into contact with inner-world beings through an entrance in the Hollow Earth. The lost civilization was technologically advanced with flying UFOs, a lush and green environment, warm temperatures, and woolly mammoths. The alien warned Admiral Richard Byrd about the potential dangers of nuclear weapons to the planet. According to theorists, Admiral Byrd documented his expedition and strange encounter with this lost advanced civilization. What's more peculiar is this is not the first mention of a Hollow Earth and an advanced civilization. Throughout history, the advanced world beneath Earth has been written about in all cultures. This mythical place is known as Agartha. Agartha is a legendary kingdom often thought to exist within the Earth's core. This mystical realm has been a popular subject in esoteric and occult traditions, appearing in various mythologies and spiritual writings across cultures. Agartha is frequently described as a hidden paradise populated by advanced beings, with cities illuminated by an inner sun. Its inhabitants are believed to be technologically and spiritually advanced, living in harmony within a highly organized society. According to skeptics, Agartha could be accessed through entrances around the world, and one of these main entrances are at the North and South Pole. Is it all just myth? Or could there be something to the idea of a hidden world beneath our feet? Tell me what you think. Could Agartha be real, or is this just another wild conspiracy? Drop a comment.
All right, so I do believe in this one. I believe in the Hollow Earth theory. The reason I believe in it is because they are literally barring off caves around the world. They're putting bars up, and they are putting security guards at various caves around the world, and they've been doing it for decades. Why? Why are they not letting people, just everyday, average, modern people in? More so, at Grand Canyon, they made a national park when we realized that there was a huge cave system and wanted to explore it. They would not allow us explore the cave systems throughout the Grand Canyon. Again, why? Why won't they let us explore if we choose to? For our own safety? Is that why? Okay, thank you, Uncle Sam. We appreciate you. But the last reason I believe in the hollow earth theory is because UFOs. Well, now the federal government and the CIA has acknowledged and admitted to UFOs' existence and that they've been tracking and recording them for decades, right? Okay, what's the logical, what's more logical here to you guys? That extraterrestrials traveled through time and space, found our planet, and they're afraid to make contact with us? Oh, okay, I guess that's a theory. That's one idea. Or that it's us from inner Earth, that they come up through the oceans, they come up through cave systems, they come up occasionally to make sure dummy old humans don't annihilate their planet, you know, the planet they live inside of. Well, there's one that's logical and one that's not so logical. I believe if extraterrestrials were to come here, they would probably just take us over and annihilate us. Or they would peacefully want to live amongst us. They would want to study us. I don't think they would be afraid to make contact with us. Now, if there were inner Earth dwellers, would they want us to know about them? Would they want us to know their existence? No, probably not. And they would probably have a little bit to lose if we annihilate the planet, which is why they come up occasionally and make sure we don't nuke each other.
President Kennedy was because he was going to release information on this. It's a Byrd document that was found, I want to say like 6 or 7 years ago, and it talked about buildings being on the dark side of the moon. He was in the Navy. He had a top security clearance. He was going to be handling video and film that came back from combat missions. And he goes, he got brought into a room one day. He said, the guy said, stay here, wait right here, I'll be right back. And he goes, so I'm standing in this dark room where they're developing the film, and the guy says, hey man, you want to see something really cool? Come over here. So he's like, oh, okay. So he goes, I go over there and check it out. And he starts showing me buildings on the dark side of the moon. And he said to me, these aren't ours. 40 different creatures that were coming here, 40 different aliens or 40 different terrestrials, ETs that were coming here. One of the former prime ministers of England said the U.S. has been dealing with a group called the Tall Whites for like the last 15 or 20 years. The Tall Whites were a group of very Nordic-looking extraterrestrials, very tall, light hair, just very, very big. There was some talk that in the early 30s that there was a guy, his name was Thor, and he was a tall white, and he was working within the Senate and Congress. You know, UFOs were as real as planes that fly over your house. I mean, he said, there's no denying it, they're there. You know, we know they're there.
So y'all have to tell me what you think on this, but how many people have to speak out actively that have privy to information, that are have top secret security clearances or higher, that have served in the military, that are notable figures amongst our society that we deem intelligent? How many people have to speak out on different entities and virtually be whistleblowers before we start to listen? No, instead, mainstream narratives, the governments of the world just paint them as crazy or slap some type of label on them so that way they're ostracized amongst our community and they're not listened to, they're not heard adequately. But realistically, I think this guy was speaking on the Prime Minister of England. It was actually the Prime Minister of Canada. But the Prime Minister of Canada years back spoke out and said there's, I think, of something like 14 different types of species working hand in hand with the United States government and governments of the world, one of which were the Tall Whites. Again, this man ran Canada, for a very, very long time, and the Canadians entrusted him to continue to run Canada. So I would assume he's intelligent. I would assume he's articulate. I would assume he's sane. I would assume he's rational. And he's been speaking out on this for years. Why don't we listen? So we know these places exist. We know these secret black ops sites exist. We know these different species of terrestrials exist. Why do they hide it from us? Why do they conceal it from us? What's the why behind why they want to keep us in the dark about every facet of life? It's just baffling to me. But I do believe the Tall Whites exist because ultimately I think that there's been too many speculations around the Tall Whites, too many people who have seen or whistleblown on the Tall Whites. So I'm assuming that is probably one of the species that that really do work hand in hand with the world's governments.
So did you know Pope Francis is the last Pope, and after that it will be the Judgment Day?
So it literally ends after Pope Francis?
Yeah, and this book in the Vatican archives, right, predicted every single Pope from 1143 all the way to our current Pope. But the scary thing is after Pope Francis, the last one, it just says Judgment Day. And the creepiest thing inside St. Paul's Basilica ordering the whole inner sanctuary is a picture of every single Pope, right? But what's weird is that there's only a certain amount of markers where you can where you can put the picture. There's just one left after Pope Francis. They've always said once that last slot is filled, it will be the end of the world. He predicted the time it took to go from the first pope that he wrote about to the halfway mark was 422 years. He's saying from the middle one to the end, another 422 years will be the end of the world. If you do 422 in the middle pope, which was 1,585, that year is 2027. It's even weirder. Pope John the 23rd, he said that the end of the world would happen 2,000 years plus Christ's life. So that adds up to 2027 as well. Terrifying, isn't it?
So on this one, I don't know, man. I understand what everybody's saying is that this is going to be the last pope because the world's going to come to an end. But what if? It's not that the world's going to come to an end. It's just that humanity's going to wake up and realize that religion is used to control men. We can have God without religion. Hear me out. I know that I'm probably going to catch hate for this one, and I love you all. I wish the best for all of you of any religion who's watching this right now. What I'm saying is that God is within all of us. God loves all of us, and we're all praying to the same thing. At the end of the day, God is God. No matter what you call it or what different word you use to label it, God is God. So what if the Pope's the last Pope due to the fact that that religion ends and he's just the last Pope of that religion, but humanity goes on? I don't know if I'm ready to believe that we're over as a human civilization quite yet, but we'll see, I guess. Or we won't. We won't be around to see. Anyways, let me know what y'all's thoughts are, and don't hate me too bad. It's just my opinion, okay?